The following research was done with the support from Slate Black Industries. For an improved frictional coefficient, consider working with Slate Black Industries as a ballistic research partner. Why, hello there. Do you like classic sniper rifles? Do you like statistics and data? Well, you've come to the right place. Because today we're tackling the one MOA all day long trope. And that's right, I said it's a trope. Not that you cannot achieve one MOA all day long. Certainly we know target rifles and sniper rifles, purpose-built sniper rifles, can achieve one MOA all day long. The main thing is, in the US market, we've been seeing people say, oh, this rifle, insert line rifle, mainly being any version of an AR-15, is a one MOA all day long rifle. Now, we're not choosing any AR-15s for this because in the past, Josh has done extensive testing on the URGI system, which I would consider as the cream of the crop, a gold standard for a good AR-15 system. And that hovered around the 1 MOA limit with 77 grain match ammunition. But it was hovering around the 1 MOA limit, and most of those actually were over 1 MOA. So can these rifles do it? We've got the HK93 SG1, the Carl Gustaf M41B Swedish sniper rifle, and of course, one of the crowd favorites, the 1903A4 sniper rifle. Now, why are we using rifles like this? All three of these were modified line rifles, meaning the base of this has a very similar material and construction as a line-issued rifle, a standard service rifle, but it has been modified to have better consistency and precision. And so we're using these rifles to sort of give these line rifles the best opportunity. Ammunition-wise, this is only shooting ball ammo, but the other two are shooting very well-made match-grade handloads. And yet all of these rifles, I'm confident on hitting greater distances than 500 yards. But the only rifle that I would say is a 1 MOA all day long fails at, namely, the weight limit, because it is a purpose-built sniper rifle. It's heavy. That would be the SSG 3000. And so we'll start with the SSG 3000 in 6.5 by 55 as a baseline, what I would consider a 1 MOA all day long rifle that I am confident in shooting. And from there, we'll progress and see how the other rifles do. Let's go to the range. 10 shots into a 1 MOA circle. Now this is a challenge put on by Mike over at Bloke on the Range and Giga over at Polar Tactical. Anyways, let's get on with the shooting first, starting with the SSG 3000, my trusty 6.5 by 55 precision rifle, topped off with the AEM 530. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today we are doing the 1 MOA all day long challenge. Now, there are some parameters from our friends Mike from Bloke on the Range and Giga from Polar Tactical that I am deliberately not following, because 1 MOA all day long that I know is something like one of my favorite rifles here, the SSG 3000, chambered in 6.5 by 55, suppressed with the AEM 530, and running my Vortex AMG Razor. 1 MOA all day long has been perpetuated in the US repertoire, let's say, because 1 is a lovely, neat number, but really that's a pretty arbitrary number. To achieve 1 MOA all day long, their standard was 10 shots. 10 shots within under 1 MOA, shot with a rifle that is under 10.5 pounds. And that is my disqualifying factor, is that my rifle most certainly is not under 10.5 pounds. But it is one of my rifles that I would go to and say this rifle can achieve under 1 MOA whenever I grab it with the ammunition that I feed through it, and it absolutely will perform. Steve, we ready at 100?
Ready.
So, let's go. Now, unfortunately, I have to start this one off by apologizing because we did not correctly set up the target cam. So you'll see that it's overexposed, but once it's finished shooting, we'll show you the first results. So today with the setup, we are pushing these 140 grain projectiles at about a little bit north of 2,800 feet per second. So they're going fairly fast. All right, Mirage is starting to settle in right now. I notice I've been shooting with no ear protection. That's because this particular AM530, it's actually the old M41 can, which is one of the most effective suppressors out there. Now, it still doesn't make it subsonic. Obviously, about 2,800 feet per second is far from subsonic. But from the muzzle end, it does take out a lot of the sound signature, which is really cool. So, that's 10 rounds. Steve, how does that look to you?
Pretty good.
And so here you go. This is a lovely grouping. 1 MOA or better, all day long. But is it all day long? Let's try it again. And of course, you'll see that this time I actually have the target cam set up correctly, so you can see the impacts. And unfortunately, starting off cold bore shot, heartbreaker to begin with. So the previous series, I had already shot this with a suppressor on just to warm it up and have fun at the 1,000-yard range, since we are on the range with 1,000 yards and I have a 6.5x55 sniper rifle. Okay, 5 more rounds. Alright, so what it looks like right there, I will admit that first round was definitely off. Unfortunate fact to shooting target rifles, you need to accommodate for that first round, the first round with the cold bore shot. But you can see the subsequent rounds as we close this out and you look at the overall group. Unfortunately, with the cold bore shot, it is over 1 MOA. However, discounting the cold bore shot, the cluster itself is still a very tight 0.6-ish MOA. Now, moving on, let's look at some of the other service rifles and how they did. So first off, we have the HK93 SG1. Now, mine has been fairly used by me. I like shooting this rifle. I also know that this rifle is a 112 barrel twist. And so we took it to the range with 55 grain PPU ball ammunition. I've got to emphasize that it is this 55 grain ball ammunition. So let's see how it does. And I've got to say, for a 1960s rifle, this is a late 70s rifle, completely free-floated, 112 barrel twist, shooting 55 grain ball ammunition. Oh, well, hello there. I didn't see you. You must have stumbled upon me enjoying the sunshine of the days as I was bird watching with my M41 sniper weapon system. Now, I hope you're enjoying the content thus far, because content like this is made possible not only by Slate Black Industries, but by the patrons of Patreon. Well, that's true. They are our main support, financially, intellectually, and most importantly, emotionally. They make content like this possible. And I'd like to invite you to come along and become one of the patrons of Patreon, along our journey of exploration of firearms technology and what we can do with these weapon systems. And if not, it's okay. But that's enough with this. Let's get on with the show. For a 1960s rifle, this is a late 70s rifle, completely free-floated, 112 barrel twist, shooting 55 grain ball ammunition at this type of grouping is actually fairly good. The Germans. I've got to emphasize that this is ball ammunition, and later on, or earlier on when we shot the URGI, we even had groupings with 77 grain match that's close to this. Now, for some reason, these roller delayed rifles, for me at least, they seem to shoot ball ammunition extremely well. I don't know if it's the twist, the action, or whatever, or the fact that it's free floated from factory, or sprinkled with H&K's magic. It seems to just perform. But, unfortunately, not one MOA all day long. I guess this is not a PSG1 after all, and even if it were, the PSG1 is overweight. So, the next rifle that we shall look at, also a legend in its own might. The M41B, the Swedish Mauser from World War II. This rifle is considered by many the best sniper rifle from World War II. And also a lot of people consider this as a sub-MOA rifle. So, taking my hand loads, let's see how it does. And so here you'll see me using 140 grain match burners loaded into recycled blank casings. And as you shoot a 6.5x55, it is very, very pleasant. So as you watch this, round number 1 through round number 7, you'll see that it actually is fairly tight. But the trouble really hits around round 8, 9, and 10. For some reason, the grouping dropped low and definitely opened it up. Beautiful Swedish steel. Now this is the final grouping that we saw, but if you take away those last few that opened it up, this is the cluster all the way to the very end. And honestly, if you were measuring this by a 5-shot group, yeah, this group size is significantly smaller than a 10-shot group. Now partially, I wasn't slowing down with this, so I don't know if heat had anything to do with it. It's also not free-floated like the H&K. So I don't know. I think this requires a little bit more looking into. But this is one of my favorite rifles to shoot, and that grouping shows you why. Now, onwards to the last rifle that we have on deck. Ah yes, the legend, the Springfield, the 1903, especially this one, the A4. Alright, one in the chamber, magazine, and the on position. And I've got 4 left, that gives me 10 rounds. Let's see what 2.5x gives me. This has a Korean War era optic on it, and it is not the soda straw from World War II, but still it's not that much better. It's 2.5 by, it's a 2.5 by Weaver with fine crosshairs. So the action is still the same. The barrel is an original barrel on it, but new old stock. The rifle itself, one thing you'll see, the cycling is very, very smooth on this. It is a very nice rifle to shoot. However, the first group that I got was fairly disappointing, and it was almost off paper. So I actually took it back another day. I understand this is 1 MOA all day long. I already busted 1 MOA on this already. We'll show you the target right here. So I shot it again the second time, and this is what we see. You know what? Actually, I'm going to dial it down because I know I have this at a 300 yard zero, so just 3 clicks down. So one interesting thing I'm seeing here, and I don't know if it really matters, but maybe kind of like the M41B, you'll see that during the first magazine, this thing actually grouped fairly tight, and I'll show you that grouping right here. Once I reloaded the magazine, it shot another about the same size group, but lower.
The way the bolt cycles.
I don't know these old rifles if because it's completely, the barrel's completely encased in wood and it's not free-floated, I don't know if that has an effect on the rifle's performance.
Alright, so,
but perhaps it could?
I clearly...
Regardless, this is the final group size. But if you break it down into the 2 groups, I thought it was interesting seeing those 2 5-round groups and seeing where the dispersion difference between the final cluster and those 2 5-round groups were. You can see a definitive lower shift on that. Again, I didn't see that the first time. The first time I shot it, it was more like a circle. It was forming a circle. But the second time I saw this lower shift. So if I were to shoot 5-round groups and determine the accuracy of this thing, it would be far different from shooting 2 subsequent magazines at a fairly brisk pace. Again, I think I did this entire string in 2 minutes, maybe less. So if you were to use 5-round groups, or heaven forbid you use 3-round groups to judge how accurate these things are, you may not be portraying them well in the field. So, with 1 MOA, let's jump to the field. I did a pretty good conclusion out there. As a 1 MOA system, and again, you need to look at it from the rifle system perspective. You're looking at a good rifle with an excellent barrel, a good optic or a good sighting solution. Target sights do count as that, towards that, and quality ammunition. 6.5x55 is an excellent option for shooting small groups. That said, we also shot it with a few different other rifles. One of them being the HK93 SG1. HK93 SG1, I didn't think that it would achieve 1 MOA all day long, but I thought it would get maybe close, and that delivered 1.6 MOA with, might I add, ball PPU 55 grain ammunition. Pretty impressive when you put that caveat to it. Also, thank you, sir. Also, we had out there the M41B. Now, a lot of guys consider this the best sniper rifle in World War II. I think it is one of the best sniper rifles in World War II. It's hard to debate which one is the best when you consider the application of these things. But considering modern application, this is probably one of the closest rifles to modern application. Quality system, really accurate system, great barrel, sighting system. The IAC scope is one of the clearest of its era, and ammunition, we were shooting 6.5x55 hand loads, which the ammunition I was shooting for this was more of my trash can loads, but still accurate enough. The other rifle that we don't have here today was the 03A4. Now the 03A4
many consider very accurate. And I will say, for its era, the 03A4 is not bad, especially when you consider like how smooth that action is to throw. It's an improved Mauser action in my mind. Now, that may be subject for some debate, which one is the improved Mauser action, but I like the Springfield action more than the traditional 98K action. That said, the optic is, yeah. The ammunition I used was okay. It was not bad. It wasn't top tier 30-06 match ammunition, but good enough. And we printed like close to a 2.5 MOA group, which is actually good for that era. Now that said, even these close to 2 MOA rifles can shoot to 1,000, and in fact, I've demonstrated with this guy just today how it could shoot to 1,000 using the 4X scope. Nice. Is it 1 MOA all day long? Of course not. But I think the point of this is that you don't need to be 1 MOA all day long to be effective at doing something like this. Also, that said, if you're less than 1 MOA all day long, so tighter than 1 MOA all day long, it certainly makes your job significantly easier. It's just, there's an issue because nowadays people, especially in America, 1 MOA is almost like 1 inch. So that is a very neat number in our minds. So it's easy for people to say, oh, that's a sub-MOA group. It's even easier for people selling rifles to say, this is a sub-MOA rifle all day long. How do you test, though? That's a big question. I found that a lot of people test these by shooting subsequent 3-round groups and making sure that they show one of those groups touching, and that's the evidence that it is a sub-MOA rifle. That's not the case. Those are 3 consecutive rounds that were close enough together. As you can see in this exercise, as you shoot many different rifles, you can have 3-round clusters, but that doesn't represent the actual dispersion that the rifle puts out. So, multiple things here. I'm glad Mike and Giga put this together. It's certainly a good talking point, and I'd like to hear what you guys say. So sound off, leave us a comment in the comment section down below, and we'll see you guys on the range.
And so what's the conclusion? Yes, of course, you can purpose-build a sniper rifle or an F-class or a bench rifle to shoot 1 MOA all day long. In fact, they should shoot better than 1 MOA all day long if they want to win the match. But as far as line rifles, commercial rifles, rifles off the shelf, 1 MOA all day long is an arbitrary number. It's a number that is neatly and cleanly fitting into your mind and gives you the feel-goods by ringing it off your tongue, by saying, my rifle is 1 MOA all day long, even if you've never tested it. And you know what? Manufacturer guarantees it, so it must be true. That's why I think Bloke and Giga are taking a swipe at this, because it's a bit of a lie just to sell you guys rifles. Or it's skewing historical understandings of these rifles, because you don't need 1 MOA to hit distance targets. But anyways, we'll see you guys on the range.
716 is unit.
Caveat time. I know there's going to be people in the comments section, and if this is linked to you, it's you, who will say, "What? But sir, you did not use a mechanical rest, and therefore your results are invalid." I know this must come as a surprise, but some of us out there learn the dark arts of a skill. The skill is called marksmanship. Marksmanship literally is a skill where human beings try to control a rifle and hold it as steady as possible, to where when they pull the trigger, there is as little mechanical deviation between shot to shot to shot. And some people, when they are good enough, they are able to shoot sub-MOA groupings with the correct rifle. In fact, I did not choose the SSG 3000 out of the blue. That was a deliberate choice to demonstrate that yes, indeed, I can shoot sub-MOA groupings. That's not just that rifle. I'll show you another one right now. So, I won't go over and pick up an M41B, an HK93, or an 03A3 sniper, and all of a sudden forget my fundamentals of marksmanship. Or you could choose to believe that because I didn't have a mechanical rest, that these are invalid observations. And if you do, I would invite you to come up with your own video. Tag us in it. I'd love to watch. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on the range.
716, this is Jonet 6, 4 Vic, 8 packs, REDCON 1, green to green. How copy, over?
096, this is 716, roger, over. 16, 091, 1 pack, green, green, over. This is 716, roger, over. 16, 1592, 1 Victor, 2 packs, REDCON 1, over.